All right, let's talk about the women's singles final.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty tough to accuse someone of being coached during a frame. Like,
There's been a bit of drama around the AEBF committee at the Australian Nationals.
I'm going to say one thing straight up that I think needs to be said. If you're going to be a state delegate, go into that role with no personal agenda. Do it for the good of your state and the good of your sport.
Support for today's show comes from Gary Bradshaw Photography. Gaza B shoots weddings, family shots, corporate portraits, events, and just about anything else, including great club photos. Gaza has been a great supporter of 8-Ball in Australia and is the official photographer at the AEBF Nationals. Check out some of his work on today's thumbnail, and for all your photography needs, see Gary Bradshaw Photography. Let's run through some of the winners at the Australian 8-Ball Nationals. There's a few here, so I'm just going to reel them off. Here we go. In all the singles events. In the Australia Cup, Trent Mason from Victoria defeated Simon Ibbs from WA 8-0. Absolute whitewash. In the under-23s, Jack Green from Victoria defeated Joshua Hands from Queensland 8-3. There's the future of pool in Australia right there. Jack Green and Josh Hands. Well done, boys.
definitely.
In the women's over 50s, Julia Ward from Queensland defeated Judy Karanis 8-5. In the over 60s, Steve Hale from WA defeated Steve McCormick from Victoria 8-4. In the Masters, Alan Brown from WA defeated Chris Lilly from the ACT 8-4. Alan has won both the Masters Plate and the Masters Singles and performed outstandingly in the teams event. What a tournament he had.
He won the singles. Won the singles last year too, didn't he?
That's a good question.
Did he win it last year or the year before? I think he's won a couple of Masters.
Wouldn't surprise me. He was actually joint player of the Carnival, Robbo, with Jeremy Maguire, who just had an outstanding performance in the teams event. In the women's singles, Lauren Jelly from Queensland defeated Kenny Boyd from New South Wales 8-5. And in the open singles, Rusty Wheeler from New South Wales got number 3, beating Andy Barnett from Queensland 10-9. Now, number 3, and I know Rusty was really enamored with number 3, and he's joined a very elite group. I think it's just Rusty and Justin that have won 3 each.
Yeah.
Rusty, no one's won 4, mate. You going to come back and have a crack?
Say Justin might have been going for Barney.
This is the Hendry versus O'Sullivan of Australian pool.
Yeah.
Come on, Justin. Come on, Rusty. 26. We want to see you there.
They are bloody hard to win. It's such a commitment, not just the tournament and the players you got to play against, just the time and everything.
Yeah.
It's a marathon.
All right, let me run through the teams events. In the Australia Cup, Northern Queensland defeated Victoria White 11-6. In the under-23s, Victoria defeated Queensland 7-4. In the women's over 50s, WA defeated Queensland 7-5. In the over 60s, ACT defeated South Australia 7-2. In the Masters, Western Australia defeated Tasmania 13-7. In the women's event, Victoria defeated Queensland 12-5. It's a dominant performance, that one. And in the open event, Queensland defeated Victoria 17-14.
So the women's, how many women are in a team? Is it the same?
6. 6 around.
Oh, it's less. Oh, okay. All right. I was just wondering why I was raced to 12. I thought that was just a strange number. So what is it normally for them race to?
6 of 18. It's
not 10.
10. Race to 10. 3 rounds of 6. But in the grand final, it must be 4 rounds of 6, is it?
So they got to get to 13.
Yeah. So it must have been 13 because maybe the score.
Yeah, just said 12.
Yeah, because the
it
score.
was 13.
It must have been 13 because it is marked as incomplete. So presumably it's 13-5.
Yeah. Otherwise, it could be 12 all.
Yeah, correct. The players of the Carnival. In the Australia Cup, Simon Ibbs was the player of the Carnival. In the under-23s, it was Joshua Hands. And the women's over 50s was a joint player of the carnival between Sue Basanich and Tracy Westling. In the over 60s, it was Phil Morton. In the Masters, another joint player of the carnival effort between Alan Brown and Jeremy Maguire. In the women's event, Lauren Jelly was player of the carnival. And in the open event, Andy Barnett, who joined us earlier, who made the final in the singles and shot the lights out in the teams event to get his player of the carnival event. So well done to everyone, the winners and the players of the carnival, on your efforts. Well done. I'm not going to run through all the Australian teams. There's a lot. You can see them all on the AABF Facebook page and on the Cue Ball TV presentation night video.
Do you have the Hall of Famers on there, Wayne and Sue?
Yeah, congratulations too to the new Hall of Fame entrants, Sue Basanich and Wayne Stubbs, both very deserving, been around the game a long time, and great to see them get their Hall of Fame entries.
On that note, I just wanted to say that I think I like it when they introduce one male and one female at most per year. And I like when they introduce a player that is still around, still competing, but they're more in the Masters phase of their lives. Because the Nationals I went to, they did the Hall of Fame and they introduced a lot of people, a lot of people that I've been around the game for a very long time. Some of them I hadn't heard of, and some of them, no disrespect, but I don't think the resumes were long enough to deserve a Hall of Fame spot. So I don't know what happened that year, but this year certainly better, introducing one male, one female, and two players who've been around a very long time and very deserving of it, in my opinion. So
yeah,
but that's just my thoughts. So I don't know who's in charge of all that stuff, but I think one male, one female maximum per year.
Yeah, certainly no complaints from anyone this year. Like, both great entries to the Hall of Fame. All right, so we're just going to go through a couple of the Australian teams. Again, we won't go through them all, but you can find them on the presentation. First off, we're going to just talk about the under-23s because this crew is really the kind of future of pool in Australia. And it's a very strong team. So first off, Jack Green from Victoria, he won the under-23 singles, so straight into the team. Then Josh Hands from Queensland was the player of the carnival, so also automatic selection. Sean Dempsey from Victoria was selected and is the captain of that team. And then Xavier Dorr from Queensland. So 4 very strong players, and will just go super well at the Worlds, I think. Like even at the last Worlds, we talked about this. Sean was runner-up in every event that he entered. So deep runs in everything. Like, this is a team that can go all the way, surely.
Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, very, very strong side. I don't know if it can actually get stronger. Don't know, actually. I could probably think of a couple of players around Daniel Porter. Is he still under 23?
Yeah, he would be.
Yeah, maybe throw Daniel in there, or maybe there's another player or two floating around, but that's pretty much the cream of our crop for under 23s go. They're big chance.
Big luck.
Probably the best chance of all the Australian teams selected. If I was to pick a team that I think is most likely to come back with a world title, it's probably the under 23s team.
Yeah, good luck, boys. Very strong side. We're looking forward to seeing you play over at the Worlds. All right, let me go through the women's team here. So I'll reel off all the names, first of all. So Lauren Jelly, she won the singles and was player of the carnival. Colby Poole, Tia Rayburn, Julia Ward, Lyndall Element is the captain. Penny Fidoulis, Anne Moy, Melanie Sanders, and Kenny Boyd. Now, I do remember from the presentation that 5 of those women are first-time Australian team members. So there's a lot of fresh blood in this team.
I think that those first-timers are more down the bottom end, though, because you got like Lauren, Colby, Lyndall, Tia, first-timer, and was it Julie? Trying to remember who you said.
It must Julia Ward, Penny Fidoulis, Anne Moy, Melanie Sanders, Kenny Boyd. Yeah, I think is Julia Ward. So Tia's first time. Julia Ward, has she played before?
Not sure if she
She-
has, but no, go on. You sound like you know more than me, so go for it.
No, I was going to say it might be her first year.
So there's
I haven't
5
played
first times.
the
1,
last-
2, 3,
Sorry,
4.
I haven't
So,
played
I
the
remember
last couple of years. I've probably only played 3 years in the last 8 or something, and she hasn't. I don't think she's made it in the years I've been.
Someone said to me, and I can't remember who it was, said she's a very good player. Didn't she play Masters as well? Was she played something in Masters?
Oh, that's
Doubles or
right.
something? I've been told she's a very, very good player. I didn't recognise the name, but that doesn't mean anything. The Queensland's full of
Yeah.
players up there that have got a lot of talent that you just don't see just because of the way their state tryouts work. You know, it's quite a big states. Travelling's obviously a bit of an issue for some of them.
Yeah, spread out a bit. Anyway, a lot of newcomers to that team, but they will be all the better for the experience. So, probably at a glance, I don't think we're going to pick this team as a favourite to win the world title, but they'll get some great experience. And good luck to you, ladies. We'll be cheering you on regardless. So, get over there and do your best. All right, let's talk about the Open team. It'd be interesting to see whether you think all of these players might go as well. So in the Open team, Rusty Wheeler, the singles champ, Andy Barnett, player of the carnival. Then we have Tem Dixon, Cale Barrett, selected as captain, Alex Pace, Craig Stevens, Travis Crawley, Justin Stubbs, Josh Gorski, Chris Beagley, Brent Reed, and Ian Hinton.
Justin Stubbs
Where
is a
does that-
surprise for me there.
Very good player, Justin.
Yeah.
I played him. Must have been 5 or 6 years ago now, in the last 16 of the Australian titles, and it went down to the decider. It was a fantastic match. I hadn't really seen, as you see him playing like teams event. You play the one frame pool here and there, but I've never played him before, and that was my first match of playing against him, and we had a great battle. I gained a huge amount of respect for him, so I'm not surprised at all.
Oh,
that he
when
made
I
the
say
Australian team.
surprised, I mean, is this his first year?
Justin?
Yeah.
No.
Okay. Well, then that.
No. He's played a lot.
Okay, I'll scratch that then, because I just figured it was his first year, and to get in with the criteria that's set at the moment, that's a big effort.
I wouldn't be surprised if he's actually got a decent ranking.
Yeah, okay.
I could be wrong here, but I don't think I am. I remember the last few times I've played, he's played for Tassie, and he's been one of their stronger backbone kind of players. Unless I'm wrong.
No. Look, he's been playing for Tassie for a while now. I just didn't realise he'd actually made an Australian team. So, good on him.
Well, this might be his first, but it doesn't surprise me. And he is playing. He's playing a fair bit of nationals now, so the ranking system helps him.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. Whilst we're talking about the system used for selection, I'll say, let me ask your opinion on Travis Crawley being selected in this team. Travis Crawley has finished on 52%.
I personally think he would have been embarrassed to be called up. And I honestly think if you were to get him on here right this second and say, Trav, do you think you deserve to see a spot in the team? I'd categorically think he would say, no, I don't think I should be in the team. Even he would say that. I almost guarantee it.
I think that's probably true, but tell me, you guys understand the system better than me. What's the cause of that? Is that because he has a high Australian ranking?
So basically, from what I understand of the ranking list, has been changed, or I'm wrong. Again, I don't think I am. If you're ranked, say, number 1, so let's say Barney next year goes in rank number 1, you get bonus points for that, and the equivalent is 0.25 of a frame per ranking point. So, like, if you compared him to, say, the person ranked number 8, Barney actually gets 8 times 0.25. So he'll get 2 frames handicap, which is massive when you consider that rank number 8 is very, very high. So now when you're comparing, say, someone ranked number 1 to someone ranked number 70, the maths on that, what are they probably getting close to 20 frames? And that's why you're 50%. So Trevor's going in as number 4 seed, and he played again and stuff, so he'll get more points. So he might be ranked number 3 in the country. You basically just need to check in
Yeah, it's
when you rank that high, especially when so many other high ranked players aren't there.
Right.
You're basically getting 10 to 20 frames head start on a lot of the field,
I believe it's
which
under
is
review
obviously
though.
way too much. What's
I
that?
believe it's under review.
Yeah, but it should have been under review every year since it got brought in. It should have been under review just to make sure it's right, because they needed data.
Yeah.
I like the idea behind it, and I've gone over it in quite some detail with Sarwan. It just needed reviews and tweaking. So instead of like 0.25, maybe 0.1, or maybe there's a cap, of 5 frames. There's so many things. I could just think of things on the spot that could improve it so much.
And what
You know?
about, because I believe that your performance in the singles and the plate is taken into account as well. So Trav's made the quarterfinals in the singles, for example. Like, did that help boost him along as well?
Yeah, there's a few things. So when you win the singles, unless they've changed it, that got you the equivalent of 4. Think of it all as frames. It's easier to think of it as frames, not points. So if you win the singles, you get plus 4 frames. If you come runner-up in the singles, it's like plus 3 frames, and so on, and it drops down all the way down to the last 32. I think you get like a quarter of a frame or something like that. And the plate is the same, except it's all half. It's all half that, but it adds up when you're starting to get down to selection. When it gets nitty gritty, every frame matters greatly, and even where your state finished in the rankings. So like, let's say South Australia, because they finished last, that would have helped Ian Hinton, which is fair, which is absolutely fair. If they've actually got anything right out of all this ranking system, it's that.
Didn't he only shoot 50% as well, though? Thereabouts?
Ian, well, I don't know what stats he shot,
I'll tell
but
you.
he got selected at 12, I believe, unless I'm wrong. And so that South Australia finishing last, I think you get something like 0.25 again from the top. So if you finished 8th, you're getting like plus 2 frames, which makes perfect sense because
Yeah, you're playing all the tarred
Ian
players.
Hinton had to play against Queensland twice. Barney didn't have to play Queensland. He got to play against South Australia twice, which it's probably 2 frames. It's probably it might be about right. Don't know, but I liked that. So there's a number of things, and I think it's all good. My issue with it is it takes away the romance and the excitement and all that. If you just, I'm a numbers person, but I think it makes it boring. I think it makes it boring. And in the past, the way it used to be, other than a few people getting screwed over,
Thanks, mate.
for the most part, oh, sorry, man. For the most part, I think they've gotten it pretty accurate. There's been the occasional people who shouldn't have got in, and the occasional people who certainly should have. But for the most part, I think it's been pretty good. But this new system, mate,
when you say in the past, do you mean when it was just a panel of people who chose who was going to be in the team?
Chose it, but they obviously went by how you went and your ranking,
of course. Yeah.
and all that kind of stuff. But I think since they've had this system, there have been people who absolutely should have been selected, who had outstanding performances. The one that comes to mind is Dale Kent, 2 or 3 years ago, first year player. For players, now this is a huge compliment when I say this. So if Dale, you're listening, or anyone like that, Dale performed above himself. How often can you actually think of someone playing for the whole trip like above where they should be playing? Huge respect for that. And he did so well. He shot big stats. He made the quarters of the singles, beat Mick Scerri along the way. Was fantastic in finals. Beautiful. Great team, man. A+. And to not get a medal for that was just robbery. and it was because of this system. Any other year, he's in the 8. He gets selected in the 8. Big stats, shot big stats. But the system got him. And the hard part for someone like Dale is it's hard to make a Victorian state side. And then not only that, but now you need to go a second and a third time to start reaping the benefits of that.
Exactly.
So
right.
it's just shit house for new players.
Yeah, it's fine if you're in ACT or Tassie or somewhere like that where the depth isn't there. You're in South Australia, Victoria, and you're trying to make a stateside year after year. If obviously all the talent's playing, just get in line and just hope you play well on the day. Simple as that. It's tough.
Now, what do we think about this team's chances of performing well at the Worlds, gents?
Do you think
what's
Rusty
your
Where
goes?
did the 8 end?
The top 8, you want to... Okay. So we've got Rusty, Barney, Tem Dixon, Cal Barrett, Alex Pace, Craig Stevens, Trav Crawley, and Justin Stubbs.
Do you think Rusty goes?
No.
No, I don't think he will either. So I don't know what domino effect that could have. Like Barney's already said he's going. I think Tem will go.
I think Tem will go. Barney will go. I think Kale will go, especially being captain. That's the correct choice, by the way. Kale should have been made captain a long time ago.
Alex Pace is next.
He'll go.
Alex will go.
Alex will go. Craig Stevens.
He's a tricky one. Might be financially related. I'm not sure financially if that's an impact for him or not. I mean, it's a big expense to go overseas and play pool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trav will go.
Trav Crawley and Justin Stubbs.
I think Justin will go.
So if Rusty doesn't go and everyone else does, then Josh Gorski's next in line.
I think Trav going might depend on what happens moving forward with the ABF.
Yeah, we'll cover that in a minute. Yeah.
Who's after Josh?
Chris Beagley.
Chris will go. Yeah, I think in some combination, I think 8 will go from the first 10. And it will be sort of that. I wouldn't call it in the upper tier. It's somewhere in the middle.
It's a solid team.
It can win.
Yeah,
it can win.
Yeah. But they need to. They kind of need to fire really deep.
Gelling as a team is very important.
Yes.
I didn't think that in my early days. I thought it was just an individual sport, and yet tally your results together. That's not true at all. I think a team that, put it this way, like let's call this team a B tier team, ABC. I call it a B. A B team that gels well is a B plus or an A minus. Or you can have a team that's an A team if they've got cancerous players in there who are bitching and at each other's throats. That team it's just no chance. They just don't win.
Yes. Well, regardless, well done to all the players who got their medal, and good luck to all of you who choose to go to Morocco next year. And we will be cheering you on. So well done on your Australia team selection. All right, let's talk about the women's singles final. And I'll start by saying that I don't know either Lauren or Kenny personally, so I don't have any particular bias in this issue. I just want to go through the facts. So in the acceptance speeches, Kenny got up to accept her runners-up trophy and started by thanking lots of people, including teammates, committee, and other competitors, but then went on to say this. During the final match, it became apparent that my opponent was in frequent conversation with her husband in between frames, between shots, taking a toilet break accompanied by her husband, and discussing when to take the toilet break, and even discussing the shot that was just made. These actions are unacceptable and considered as cheating, and cheating has no place in sports. It has undermined the integrity of the game and punished the accomplishments of those who compete fairly. Lauren came on after this to accept her winner's trophy and kept her speech very short. She said, I'd like to thank Kenny for a fantastic match. I've been playing for 20 years this year, and it is my first final that I've played in, and I'm very proud to have played my shots my way and won it fair and square. Now, this is obviously a sensitive issue, and I understand it's still being explored by the AEBF. There's multiple things to address here. So, firstly, There's the conversation between frames and taking a toilet break with her partner, with like Lauren taking a toilet break with her partner. It's clear from footage that Lauren did chat between frames, and her partner can be seen heading off together as Lauren takes a bathroom break. However, it's also clear to me that this is actually not against the rules. There is no rule. There is a rule preventing coaching during a frame, but nothing about it between frames. There is no specific rule or bylaw that I'm aware of that addresses it either. Kenny is, of course, welcome to make a moral judgment about whether she thinks that's right or wrong, but it's definitely not cheating according to the rule book. Secondly, there's a question of coaching during a frame. There definitely is a rule preventing coaching during a frame, and it's up to the referee to enforce. Normally, there would be a first and final warning, but in this case, a block warning is in place for the entire tournament, so no further warnings are required. The penalty for coaching during a frame is a standard foul. So typically that just means ball in hand and you can play out the frame. It's not a loss of frame penalty. Now, watching the video, like you can't really see any evidence of conversations. Both players occasionally make a quick comment to people in their camp during a frame, but we don't know what's said and whether that's coaching. I can't see any specific conversations between Lauren and her partner during the frame, though a lot of the time, the players are off screen, so you can't see what's going on. I understand Kenny raised the issue with the referee during some frames, but no foul was ever called. But I want to point out that in the block warning also states, should a dispute arise during a frame, the player must ask for the head adjudicator before the next shot is played. Now, there's been some commentary that Jay Windross, who was the head adjudicator, was busy umpiring the open final on the next table, which is not ideal. But I think the point's irrelevant. That Kenny needed to stop playing and wait to get the dispute resolved. It's a difficult situation when accusations like this occur. I think everybody has something to learn from it. The referees will gain experience on how to police any coaching activity. The AEBF can improve access to the head adjudicator. The players can both learn about the rules and boundaries and what to do. Kenny is a great talent in the sport. She's made a semi-final and a final in her first 2 years at the Nationals, and I hope this experience makes her tougher and we see her back. And Lauren has been a decades-long participant in our sport and won her first national title. She could have reacted intensely, but has handled the issue well so far. And again, I congratulate her on a win and look forward to seeing her back to defend her title. So there you have it, gents. That was the summary of what I think the facts are. I think the biggest situation here for me is if Kenny had a complaint, she had to stop during the frame and just say, I need to speak to the head adjudicator and we're not going on until we get this resolved. So trying to address it afterwards, unfortunately, I don't think he's going to get anywhere. I don't think there's much he can do.
No, and it never does look good either. Like I've been on, where I've sort of commented about maybe certain playing conditions or whatever, and you never seem to get anywhere after a loss. I always wait until after I've had a win to bring up concerns about table conditions or certain things. And I think if something's happening in the moment where she feels as though her opponent's getting coached, and she had to flag it up straight away during the match. Are there any witnesses or anything who can actually say that she was definitely being coached on the sidelines? Like, it seems like there would be a lot of people there who would have seen that kind of coaching. Was it hand signals or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, certainly you see Lauren have a conversation with her partner in between frames, and as she leaves to go to the bathroom, her partner goes across with her. But it is clear that in our rule set, nothing prevents that. So one of the suggestions from me to the AEBF is put in place a rule that during a match that you can't have a conversation with someone from your crew about coaching around the match.
Yeah,
So,
it's like someone can be in someone's corner going like, "Yeah, come on, mate," or something like that, or
sure,
keep
or
your
can I
head,
get a glass
keep your
of
head
water
on,
or
yeah. But I mean, I think like actual specific coaching. I mean, I would think that would take longer than maybe a couple of second interaction.
I mean, but at the end of the day, it's after the fact. If they've coached them about a shot they've played the frame before, it's after the fact. It doesn't change anything. Frame's done.
Yeah, I think we've got to differentiate between coaching in the frame and coaching in the match. Coaching in the frame is a foul. Coaching in the match in between frames is not a foul.
Oh, is that allowed? So if someone sees something happen, like sort of, maybe someone's being too attacking or something, just for example, is somebody actually allowed to say like, oh, hey, just like rein it in a little bit, just, be smart with your shot choice? Is that coaching? Is that a foul? Like that when the frame's finished, when the ref's racking the balls up, are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so
I think between frames, it's fine.
Yeah, so I mean that's pretty tough to, accuse someone of being coached during a frame. Like,
the reason I find it a little hard to swallow. Now, I have heard, and I'm not going to mention any names or anything like that. Apparently, I've been told that some people have come forward saying it did actually happen, which I think may be why there's still an investigation going on. That aside, I find it very hard to believe that a player can complain a number of times to the referee. The referee is told to keep an eye on it, and nothing has happened. So if I'm a referee and I'm told, oh, this person's coaching while the flame's on, I'm pretty much watching them like a hawk and making sure that it's not happening. Now, there was no foul called, no loss of frame called. So,
and to be clear, it's not a loss of frame foul either. It's just a standard foul.
well, the first time, the second time would have to be a loss of frame, surely, for a repeat offence.
There's a different rule about I forget what the word of thing is, but it's like a spirit of the game or bringing the game into disrepute kind of thing that in theory you could go to, but it's not a coaching specific rule. The foul for coaching is a standard foul.
Well, here's my take on the whole thing, right, from start to finish, including the speech. Obviously, not stopping the match and making sure that something is done if you're that concerned about it, that drives you to a point that after you've lost the match, you need to make a speech about it. The speech in itself, in my opinion, was done in poor taste. Should never have happened. I don't think anyone should ever make a speech like that. Especially all it can do is come across as sour grapes. And to be honest, the real fact here that I want to point out, there isn't a single frame that she does not get an opportunity at the table, which means she had ample opportunity to win every frame. So if she's lost that match, she's lost that off her own cue. That's the bottom line. So what she needs to do here is not focus on, oh, she was coached during frames. She needs to go back and look at the footage and go, what did I do wrong? What can I improve on? How can I stop that from happening next time? And how can I put things in my control to win this Australian title and not worry about things going off the table?
Yeah, it's good feedback. I've been pretty clear to try and focus on what I think are the facts. Like anything I know about coaching during a frame is hearsay. Like whether it happened or not. Again, the onus is on Kenny if she's got an issue with that to say to the referee, I want the head adjudicator. I'm going to stop. We're not playing again in this frame until I get the head adjudicator to come and give us an answer on what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, look, she's a good talent. Yeah. She's ripped through that field. Absolutely destroyed everyone she played up until that final. No one got close to her from memory. I think, I don't think more than 3 or 4 frames were scored against her throughout the entire thing. I think most of them were like 5-1, 6-1 or something like that, 7-4. She's ripped through everyone. And then just at the end of the day, she was not good enough in that final at that moment. She's good enough to win it, but she needs to self-evaluate and put the time in to fix whatever errors she is, or at least learn from it, gain experience from it, come back next year stronger, win the Australian title. She's got the ability to do it.
Yeah, I think that's true. And Lauren had to play every shot in the match. And at the end of the day, she's won the match 8-5. So it didn't even go hill, right? So, Kenny, it's her second year playing this form of the rules. I think she comes from an American 8-ball or a 9-ball game, so and very kind of well known in that kind of area. But clearly great talent. And if she focuses, like, it'd be great. I hope she comes back next year and this experience makes her better for it. Because she's going to be a great talent in women's 8-ball in Australia.
Yeah, and politics aside, I think Lauren deserves a bit of spotlight for this too, because she's played a long time. Well, I've got a bit of a soft spot for her because she's originally Ballarat girl, which is where I'm from. You know, she's been in Queensland for 20 odd years now, but she's originally, I've known her since, that long. Now, I don't think she's even got close to a final before. And when you watch her play, she doesn't do anything outrageous or anything like that. She plays within herself. She plays just, the shots that she believes is best for her. And on this occasion, she got the job done. She deserves the accolades.
Yeah. Congratulations on your win, Lauren.
I think for me, the thing that probably rubs me up the wrong way the most of all is, the Australian titles is the biggest, most grand prize that we have. And Lauren's been trying to win that for 20 plus years, and she finally gets it. And then to have sort of her night ruined from a runner-up speech accusing you of cheating is pretty brutal. You're attacking someone's legacy, someone's reputation, someone's character. Like, I can't imagine being called anything worse than a cheat. Like it's pretty full on.
Yeah, no, that's not on.
I've done a couple of things in the past where I've maybe jumped the gun, calling some people out on some things and putting it on social media or whatever. And maybe I was right, maybe I was wrong, maybe they did cheat, maybe they didn't or whatever. But at the end of the day, I didn't go and actually talk to them in private first and hear their side of it or anything like that. And you got to understand that once you say those things or once you put something out there, it's very hard to undo it. So unfortunately for Kenny, maybe because she's the newer one and Lauren's the experienced one that we all know, this is what Kenny will be known for a very long time. And she's tried to do the right thing, but in the wrong way, and it's completely backfired. Even if I don't know what can happen in the investigate what and find Lauren guilty and take the title off her, or I don't understand what's supposed to happen there. I don't see any good outcome for Kenny in this situation because of the way she had done it. If she just did a nice, polite runner-up speech and then done the investigation, and then after that, everything gets brought to light properly, she would be seen as the good guy. But unfortunately, she's seen as the bad guy by trying to do the right thing. I'm sure it was not easy for her to do that in front of a room full of people. It would have taken a lot of courage, and I commend that. But speaking from someone who's done not quite that, but similar-ish things a couple of times, it doesn't work out well for you.
Yeah, and I guess I'll just congratulate Lauren on handling it with grace as well. Like in her speech, she kept it short, but she was clearly pretty emotional. But she had the grace to still thank Kenny for the match and to just say a few short words about her win, and had the opportunity to kind of bite back and react, but chose not to, and I think has handled the situation extremely well.
I think there's also that there can possibly be a gray area where maybe Lauren did get some coaching a couple of times or something like that, but at the time you're not really super switched on about it, and you sort of don't realize that you are doing it. I remember Mick was playing an important match at some point, and he's halfway through a frame and his body language was really bad. He's all slumped down and everything. And he looked over at me and I went like that. Basically, stand up. I know it's not your visit. Stand up, put some presence into. Is that cheating? I wasn't intending to cheat or coach, and he wouldn't have taken it like that. But all of a sudden, you can imagine if all of a sudden his opponent goes, hang on, I saw what he did. Hang on. You can see how all of a sudden something that's sort of in the moment kind of thing can be translated into cheating.
Well, it's like that old saying when someone says, think about it. How many times?
Yeah, think about it.
Chalk it up, Cure.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot to chalk my cue. Now I'll chalk it. Now I won't miss.
Yeah, chalk
cue.
it up. Chalk it up. Think about it.
Yeah, so
I used to love all that. What's wrong with that?
It can possibly be a grey area like that.
Well, it depends on
you know
the
what I mean?
context of the frame. If you've got some guys, You're looking like he's lined up some insane shot that's like a 10% shot.
Timmy Shelton's trying to pull off the ridiculous out where all he has to do is actually just mind his work and he won't lose the frame. I could understand a bit of a think about it.
Play the drop snooker and you can't lose, but think about it,
Yeah.
So
Timmy's just desperate to take on that Marcus double.
Oh, you got to put that in.
Yeah. I used to love watching Tim try to make the most ridiculous abouts. And even when you didn't have to in that rule set.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes covering the pocket was the go.
Oh, always covering the pocket was the go, Neil. Come on.
Yeah, I loved the old rules. I loved them.
Me too.
I thought that was so good.
Bring them back.
Bring him back.
I think world rules was the best rules in the game. World rules. That was the best.
Do we know what the outcome could possibly be? Like, so let's say there's that investigation and...
No, I don't know anything about the 8-ball rules or anything, but there's no way you're going to strip someone of a title for that. Not a chance.
No.
So it was just, there was no point in bringing it up. I guess what has probably happened is a bit of business in the heat of the battle and you're just kind of a bit upset. But, I watched Lewis Hamilton be absolutely robbed of an 8th F1 title. Absolutely robbed. And he handled it straight after the race, shook Verstappen's hand and that gave him a hug. Congratulations, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think in this case, like to answer your question, Mark, the only outcomes that are possible are really just ones for to learn about the nationals. Like, make sure the head adjudicator is always available. Maybe pass a bylaw that says there's no coaching in a match if you don't want that to happen. Maybe set up an arena where the players aren't sitting in a situation where there are people sitting right next to them.
Yeah.
Maybe do that.
That would come. The only thing that should come from this is improving the grey areas, just so everything's in black and white with the rules moving forward, with what kind of coaching is allowed, what kind of encouragement is allowed, or sort of thing. Yeah. I mean, I don't think you should be allowed to have someone sitting in your corner like they are in boxing, because then of course there's going to be certain encouragement things that happen and whatnot. So,
I don't think we want a knee-jerk reaction. I've been playing. We've all been playing forever, 30 plus years. This is the first time I've ever heard of it.
And it'll probably
all of a sudden. Imagine all of a sudden if you're not allowed to sit. Let's say Mick's playing and I can't sit near him. I got to sit over there because I might whisper coaching to him, or imagine all that shit.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever heard of it. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's the last. No knee-jerk reactions and put a muzzle on everyone.
Or even the flip side. Like I don't know if you if you watch the Moscone Cup, for example, and there's a singles match on that's a race to 5. Like the captain and the other players, someone will win a frame, and the captain and the other players will walk out and give the guy a hug and have a quick chat, and and then get back out to their seats. Like they actively come into the arena. So just embrace it. Like that's fine. It's the guy's still going to play the shot.
What's the big deal? Anyway?
Like I said, she had a million chances.
She
lost 8-5. She lost.
No, but that's true as well. No, that's true as well. Like
she's lost 8-5 and got smashed.
If you've had multiple chances as well each frame and stuff, then you don't really have.
Yeah. I think at the Australian Open for the tennis, they tried, or maybe at all the tournaments for a long time, you're not allowed to coach.
Yeah, they've allowed that now. They've allowed a bit.
I think they just gave up on it. I think they just gave up on it. Fine, just coach. Who cares?
Yeah. I mean, that is what their title is anyway. Their title is the coach.
Exactly.
Yeah. In all sports, you're allowed to kind of like do it. How much impact can I actually have in 8-ball anyway?
Well, after the fact, no.
I instruct you to pot out. They pot out. I told them to do that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you for having me on.
Enjoy your practice, mate.
It's been great to have you on, Neil. Well, thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, thanks very much.
Soon. Bye.
All righty. Catch us later.
Bye.
See you, buddy. Thanks.
Now, there's one more thing to cover, which is there's been a bit of drama around the AEBF committee at the Australian Nationals. So again, I'm going to go through some facts and then I'll jump back to you boys at the end. So here's what we know. Here's what went down. There's been a lot of conversation on social media about the AGM of the Australian Netball Federation, which was held at the end of the national titles in Rockhampton. And this is our understanding of what happened. Late in the meeting, one of the items that comes up is around roles on the committee. They have to elect roles, any new roles to the committee. The vice president role had been temporarily filled by Penny Fidoulis. However, that needed to go through a formal process with all of the delegates. And the secretary role that Elise Harris had filled for the last 2 years was also up for re-election after the completion of her term. Penny Fidoulis, who had been put forward as a formal nomination for that VP role and had been working with the existing committee. But the delegates also put forward Greg Costello as another nomination. Greg had been involved with the committee previously, back in 2019 and earlier. The existing committee made it clear that Greg's nomination represented a bit of a difference in opinion, in direction between them and the delegates. Obviously, they'd been working with Penny and thought she was the right person to fill their team. But after a private discussion between the delegates, Greg Costello was voted into the role 9-7. As a result of that appointment, Trav Crawley, the president, Mel Crawley, the treasurer, and Steph, the administrator, all signified their intent to resign. And Elise Harris, the secretary, withdrew her application for renewal. So the committee was effectively decimated with 4 members leaving simultaneously. Now, to be clear, this is how a democratic process like this works. I, for one, was a fan of the existing committee and the work that they were doing, but I'm totally fine with the delegates deciding that that's something different. That is their right. The existing committee's been ousted, but now those delegates have to decide what they're going to do to move forward and how to appoint people to these roles that they believe can take 8-ball in the direction in Australia they want it to. I don't think anyone will claim the existing committee were perfect, but I think that they were directionally good for the sport. They were looking to expand and try new things and growing the game as best they could with the very little resources that they have available to them. And so my question to the delegates now is, what's your plan? Who are you going to put in the role? Gents, what's your take on all of this?
I'm going to say one thing straight up that I think needs to be said. And I'm not saying any names, not pointing any fingers. But if you're going to be a delegate for the state, because you need to understand, it's a very powerful position because the current process is the AEBF just does what they're told by the delegates of the states. They don't have a choice in what to do. They are voted. Anything that happens is voted by a state. If you're going to be a state delegate, go into that role with no personal agenda. Do it for the good of your state and the good of your sport. Because if you go in there for some power trip or you want something for your own benefit, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. As I said, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not naming names, but it definitely happens, and it's sad to see. I think the current committee, look, as I said, they weren't perfect, but moving this sport in a direction, we've been going along the same tracks for years and years and years where the exposure's basically not changed. Nothing's changed. Bringing in New Zealand, as contentious as that was on social media, which I found ridiculous, because it was
that's crazy. That
just ridiculous. I mean, bringing up things like national this and it's an Australian thing. It's an insane statement. Look at the bigger picture and take the word Australian out of it and just look at the sport. Okay.
And to be clear, Jamie, as you're talking about that, whilst that proposal was brought forward by the AEBF committee, that proposal was voted on by the delegates in the states and approved by them.
Yep, you've got keyboard warriors out there saying we weren't asked about this. Well, that's why
who have never competed a day in their life.
Exactly. Your committee votes on behalf of your state. If you've got something to say, then run it by your delegate. It never happens. People say, state delegates say, turn up to the AGM and vote on stuff. They don't turn up. They just whinge about it on social media after the fact. being on committees, in essence, sucks. You're taking up your own personal time for something that someone is always going to whinge about. You're never going to make everyone happy. It becomes the political football, one direction or the other, and all that happens as a delegate is you just get abused for something that you've probably done the right thing, in most people's eyes. So to those Facebook warriors out there, stop it. If you haven't got nothing nice to say or something constructive, stop it. I'm all for debate, but if you're going to put something up there, have some facts and have something, have some thought and conceptualization where instead of just spewing out garbage that means nothing, actually say something with some facts and some actual gusto behind it, because some of it just makes me sick reading it. Really does. And that's the raw truth for me. I hate politics, but what I do like doing with politics is I like getting in the middle of it and trying to solve it, make things better.
Yeah.
And
if you're going to present a problem, present a solution as well.
Yeah, exactly right.
That's really well said, Jamie. And I think, I always try and thank the committee members when I can, because I think it's a thankless task. So like I said, so the existing AABF committee, I think, work incredibly hard for very little, and deserve some credit that they've worked hard for the sport. But also, like, the delegates are the members of the state committees around the country as well. Now, they are also in a thankless role and working hard. And we might, I don't necessarily disagree with their position, but I respect that they have put in time for their own personal time for the sport, and they're doing what they think is right. But my question to them is exactly what you just said, Mark. What is your solution now? Like, if the committee wasn't what you wanted, now what is the plan? And I'm really keen to hear it. Like, I've got open ears, like, as a member of the community, and I think the community wants to know what's going to happen next.
What spins me out? Like, if I was ever on the committee or anything like that, I reckon so many decisions I could make would be so easy by actually asking people. Like, as an example, I don't know. I'll just think of one. Should the state in Victoria, let's just say, should the Victorian state doubles winners get automatic selection into the team? So the winner of the women's doubles and the winner of the men's, should they? Put it out there. Put a poll on Facebook, or at the next Albury tournament or Pool Vic tournament, go around with a old pen and paper, yes or no, and you just tick them off. And you're going to learn a lot. You're going to go, wow, look, actually, we thought it was a bad idea, but it turns out 85% of people think that the doubles winners should be in the state team. Look at that. I don't know why these committee members don't do that. Formats, rankings, everything, prize money, entry fees. I don't think I've ever been asked once, except in a private conversation out of curiosity, but I don't think I've ever been asked once, like a question that I've just said to you guys. Like, we're doing a poll, we're getting some numbers, we're asking everyone who's registered with any sort of Pool, Vic, EDPL, DDPL, whatever it is. We want some feedback. It's like, are they too scared to get answers? They don't want the power taken away from them? They like the power of making the decision? I don't get it. It just baffles me.
Here's one of the issues with. I think it's a good idea. Don't get me wrong, but here's the downside of doing that, and it's a minor downside given the information you get back. You put a poll on Facebook. Once you put the poll on there, you can still make comments. So your suggestion, as an example, should doubles make the state side? Someone votes no, then they have to make a comment, don't they? If you can almost guarantee the people that vote no, there's going to be a comment. Right? Guaranteed. And the comment simply says, most ridiculous idea ever discussed or ever made, right? And that's it. No reasoning, no facts, nothing. Just, it's ridiculous. That's what happens, right? And
well, I've done a poll on Facebook before, and I just had the comments disabled, so you can't make a comment.
Okay, well, I didn't even know you could do that. That's how much I use Facebook, but That's what happens.
I don't use much, but I did one once because I wanted feedback on something, and I didn't allow. I think it was something like, I think there was a money match or whatever. Who's going to win out of these two? And I just disabled the comments, so you couldn't do any comments.
Yeah.
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 I think you're just going to learn a
certainly
lot.
as technology gets better, there's much easier ways to make those things accessible, to get polls and get data from the community. And certainly there's an opportunity there for all of the states and for the AABF to kind of enable that feedback to come in, and because all those committees are there to represent the members, right?
Imagine if they sent out a mass text message or email or however they want to do it. Every registered player, able player in the country, just across everything, saying, did you try out for your state's team? If not, why? What would you like to see? Send it out in mass. And most people will ignore it, but you're going to get a lot of people. Like I feel like, because I put that one up about Rusty's shot, how I said 90% of the top players are not there. This is one of the reasons. I would love to do my own little poll. I'd love to message 100 of the top 100 ranked players and all the other players who don't play that I think could play well. Send them a cut and paste message. Why aren't you at Nationals anymore? Hey, Woodsy, why aren't you at Nationals? Sage, why aren't you? Della, all these guys. And it flows down. It's not just your top elite, but it flows down to down a fair way. Why aren't you playing at Nationals? Just see what they have to say. There might be it might not be money. It might be more, might not be time. It might be more the tables, it might be the locations. It might be, you don't know.
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a good chance a lot of the people are going to see this. So once it goes out there, they might be able to make a comment on this video, and you might get some feedback from that as well.
Marty would love to go through them all.
I'll put a post on Facebook to just say, tell us what you think. What do you want to see? And the other question for me, like Mark's talking about Nationals, there's a couple of hundred people at Nationals, but there is somewhere north of 8,000 players registered across the country under all of the ABF states and the state divisions, etc. If you're a club member playing in a country league in your state somewhere without any aspirations to go to the Nationals, what is it that you do want? Like how can we in the 8-ball community and at the Australian 8-ball Federation level help the average punter playing Division 2 or Division 3 in their local league? What is it that we can do to benefit you? Because that's actually important too, to like help at the grassroots. Because a lot of those players, even though they might not play at the Nationals, they might have some young kids through, and they might give them their first run in Division 3 and teach them a couple of things, and those kids go up through the rankings and get better and better and better, and they become the next Australian superstar. So you want those people engaged in the grassroots community to help grow the sport overall, but they might not be the ones that directly benefit from what's going on at a Nationals event. So how can we help you? How can we get you engaged in the sport so that you can bring the next generation along for us?
Well, they've created the ultimate stepping stone, really, with the Australia Cup. The danger there is that, and I know Jamie feels the same way, is that a lot of people might get very comfortable on that stone and not want to make the next step. But at least that excuse is removed. Like I've got my full-time employee, Brandon. He's just started playing a year ago, and he just played third div and shot maybe 50%. He's loving it. He's loving playing and stuff. But if he was to, if he's like, Mark, how do I go to Nationals? I'll be thinking like, well, okay, here's your 10-year plan. Can't really wrap your head around that. But someone like Brandon, if he wanted to, within maybe 2 years, he could probably make the Australia Cup Vic team. There's 2 teams.
Yep.
He applied himself over the next couple of years, and I say, okay, do that. You're going to experience Nationals. You do that for another 3 years, and then you're going to be one of the upper level players at that, and you're going to start knocking on the door for the Open team, and maybe you fluctuate between the two or whatever. But that's a really good stepping stone. Just don't get too comfortable there.
Yeah. I'll take a moment to give a shout out to Joel Younger and Steve Tran. I noticed that so Slate have the Slate Pro tournament and and the intermediate tournament, and they've now got an amateur tournament coming out as well. So I think there's a.
So the reason why Jamie's so upset is the amateur tournament. You want that to be your stepping stone to the intermediate into
Yes.
the. Don't
Yes.
deliberately not get better to stay in your
predicted this.
category.
I
I
predicted
understand.
this. I
You
said
did,
this.
you did.
I understand.
I knew this was going to happen.
Jamie must have said this 2 or 3 years ago.
I honestly, I hate this. I hate this with a passion because, well, maybe I wish it was me now. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm. What have I been playing pool now? 30 years, something like that. And I've done it the hard way. I've just put in hours and hours and hours of time. I've made state sides that were chocked full of absolute talent. That you don't just walk into these teams, no offense, like you sort of do now. It was hard. Everything was hard. Now, just play an intermediate comp. It's all good. Get yourself $2,000, $5,000, whatever the winners are now. Stay in your lane. Don't have to get better. You know, to win money, a bunch of prize money. You don't even have to be good at the game anymore. You just have to be intermediate or now novice. What's going to come after novice? You know, super novice? Well, it's just. I'm serious. Where does it stop? Where does it stop?
The slippery slope argument. Like, I think this is just a matter of learning. Like, I applaud them for trying something, and maybe they've just got to learn how to create the cutoffs better.
It's got nothing to do with trying, Marty. It's because there's a market for it. They know they're going to fill the event.
Sure.
All right.
Sure.
So of course you do it. I'm not saying it's a dumb idea as a tournament organizer to run. It's a brilliant idea. Of course you do it. Right? Run 1 million of them. Run 50,000 novice comps a week, and you'll fill them all, and you'll make a killing. Right? I get that. Just make a living off it. Just take 10% off the top of every novice tournament you run. 128 players, guaranteed to fill in 2.5 minutes. Right?
Okay, but let me play this back to you though. Right? Let's say that now the amateur, the intermediate, and the pro event are run by the AEBF, and they are the pro is the nationals, and there's an intermediate and an amateur underneath it. You have a cutoff. Let's say that there's prize money and all of those things. If you finish in the money in the amateur event, you cannot play amateur again. You have to go to intermediate. So you can play down to get your money, but you're only going to get up once.
Get that.
And then you have to go up. So you got to create cutoffs and try and push people up these levels.
You watch what
prize
starts
money
happening.
should go up and up and up.
You know what's going to happen, don't you? It's already been. I've already called someone out on doing this, or that will do it. Right? They'll get to the point where their cutoff doesn't happen, and then they'll just throw. They'll just throw the match and go. No,
but if they're out of the money, what's the point?
So even if you're saying they finished in the top 8 and got a small amount of prize money, they'd then be ineligible to play in that comp again.
Yeah, I think I reckon if you're in the comp and you get to, let's say that you're in the last 32, you get your money back and you finish there, that's fine because you just got your money back. But if you make a profit, if you get through the last 16 and now you're making double your entry fee or something, I think you can't play in that comp again.
Here was my suggestion for
push it up.
The slate comps. So they had the intermediate. Don't get me wrong. I think the slate intermediate comp was brilliant, right? I commentated almost all of the last intermediate comp. And I actually enjoyed doing it. It was actually, I got opportunities to commentate on players that were making obvious mapping errors that they will then be able to go back and watch and potentially learn from. From that perspective, it's an amazing tournament for that, right? But with the prize money, what needs to happen is if you finish first, I don't know how much it was. Was it 10 grand or something? 20 grand? It was crazy amounts of money.
It's a decent number, yeah.
Like 20. It was about 20.
Right. So what you do is you say, and it's only a small amount, don't forget, $1,000 entry into the pro tournament. Here's your $19,000. $1,000 has been already put into the pool for you to enter into the pro tournament. If you choose not to enter the pro tournament, you just forfeit the $1,000 and it will go into the pool. All right. The runner-up puts in 500. The semifinals put 250 and so forth. Right. That way, what that does is it instantly injects money into the pro tournament for free. You get new blood into a pro tournament, which they may not have played in the first place. They've practically got a free entry or they've paid some of their entry, so that the encouragement is there to enter. They then get the experience. You never know. They might have a half decent run. One of them might knock off a Woodsy or or a Sage or whoever. And then suddenly they're thinking, I can actually do all right in this. Well, why was I so scared to play in these pro comps all this time? And before you know it, you might actually have the next guy come through because he's decided to dedicate himself or herself. And you just don't know. But if you just stay in your lane and go, nah, I'm just happy not putting in the time and just sitting at medium level, well, there's no evolvement. There's no evolving of player talent in the game. We're very fortunate right now that there are some juniors coming through because it looked dire there for a while. It really did look bad. Sean Dempsey, pre-COVID, was just another junior that just had no skill. And then suddenly COVID happened and clearly something happened. He's probably put a lot of time in and he just exploded. Jack Green has, in my opinion, not really, he's sort of come out of nowhere as well in a small amount of time. And Joseph Evans as well, who's the other one I can think off the top of my head, who I still think's probably got a little bit to go, but he's had a sick slate tournament. A perfect example of someone that you could consider an intermediate who's gone and made the quarterfinals at the Slate Pro tournament. So it's possible to do.
Yeah, that's big. Yeah. This happened. I don't know if you remember the big tournament at Q Sports in Knox City, Jamie. That must have been about 98.
Do I? What? I had a sickest tournament of my life at that comp.
So there was a novice. There was a novice tournament as well. So I was before I'd ever made a state teams, which is why I think it might be 98. So I was runner-up in the novice tournament. And part of my prize was I got an entry into the big tournament. And I won like 2 matches. Like I didn't have a deep run, but I won a couple of matches and I got like an extra $250 or something in the big tournament because I won the first couple of matches before I got wiped out. So and that was great experience for me as an up-and-comer. To get a run.
I think there were
event.
2 tournaments there because one of them I know Steve Missard and Sean Budd played in the final.
That was the big one.
The other one, there was another big one there because the names I've knocked off to get to the top 3 in that, because I lost to James Delahunty to get to the final against Mick Delahunty. And along the way, I've beaten Vince Falcon, Mark Williams. They're the only 2. There was a couple other very decent players. That was a very ridiculously hard field, and that was definitely at the same venue. Now, I don't know what that comp was, but I know that the 2 Delahunties played off in the final. So someone out there is going to know what that comp is, but it was definitely played at that venue because I have fond memories of it because I had a ridiculous tournament, probably one of the best tournaments I've ever had in my life at that age because I was still relatively young.
Oh, I can remember the 2 Dellas playing off
Ballarat.
When Jimmy Della was, it was Ballarat, I thought.
No, unless it was played out of there, but it was definitely played at that Knox venue. Definitely played at that Knox venue, yeah.
But that model that you just talked about your prize in one of the lower events is part of your prize is a ticket to the next rung up event. I think that's a fantastic model.
It's like poker. That's what they do with poker. You win an event, go to the next one.
Yeah, right.
I've just written down an interesting stat. So you can win this novice for 20 grand or this intermediate for 20 grand. So you can do that. The equivalent in the open, what you would have to do to equal that prize money is win the Anzac tournament, Albury, Geelong, Berry, Empire, and the Australian title. And that will equal what you just won by winning a novice event. Probably 1, 2, 3, 4, probably the hardest 5 money comps you'd call them, and the Australian title, just to be on par.
That's for the Slate Intermediate Championship, is it?
Yeah. Now to be
and there's a novice 120 as well.
I have no idea what the novice one is.
It will be,
I just know that
they'll all be around that.
Yeah.
So just to put in perspective,
good luck finding a cutoff person for that.
Yeah. What's the entry fee for the intermediate? Do you know? Because it's $1,000 for the pro, right?
Yeah. But that was a big prize, mate. What did Rusty get to win that? 40,000, was it? 30,000.
So the intermediate must be a couple $100.
I think it's 250 or 500.
Yeah.
I think it's 500
'Cause
I feel like 500 is the number, but I could be wrong.
I think it is too. Yeah.
I can't imagine in an amateur event that people are going to want to pony up a couple $100 for a pool tournament. when they
No,
can
well,
go
they
down
will
to-
if they think they can win it, right? This is
They
the
will
thing.
if they think they can win.
Yeah. How hard is it going to be to draw a line of where the cutoff is? Like when the intermediate one
yeah.
came out, we're talking and going, who is the person that is the gatekeeper for the intermediate comp, right? Who is the person, the lowest person or the highest person that you can have in that comp? And it was hard to find, but to their credit, they did a pretty good job. This is why there's so many intermediates so scared to make that jump, because it's like going from, I'll use Ballarat as an example because this is obviously pretty much where I spent most of my life. When you go from Division 2 to Division 1, the jump is extraordinary. It's insane. It's worse than EDPL's jump to Division 1 from 2 because there's only a handful of very, very strong players here now. But the Division 2, but anyone that was half decent is in Division 1. Anyone in Division 2 to 4 or 5, they may as well all just combine the divisions. They're the same level. So the jump's crazy. And it's an intermediate to jump to the pro as far as a chance to win it. When you're playing against all the big boys around the country, it's a daunting feeling as an intermediate player to have to do that. So I think a few of them have just gone, stay in my lane. It's the wrong attitude. Get better.
I don't know if you like this as a model, but I think the solution to this is something like the Fargo rating in US, and just saying you can't enter the tournament unless you've got 50 frames played to validate your Fargo rating. Like that's, so you have to have played 2 seasons in a league or something, and then we know what your rating is, and we're going to use that rating to calculate your entry into the tournament.
You can do all that sort of stuff. I like all that stuff. I like all that stuff as a guide, but you would still have a set, say, panel of judges. You two and JR as an example, and you three have the final say. Because otherwise you'll have someone who's
you always got to say that the decision of the committee is final. There's always got to be that asterisk in there to say.
Yeah, I was messaged, and I'm sure Robbo was as well, to be a judge, whatever word you want to call, to decide whether a player was valid for intermediate comp or not.
They
just
asked me,
respectfully responded, no, I don't want the headache.
Yeah, I said no. I think I gave them some suggestions of, like you said, a gatekeeper. I said this will be the person that I have as the highest person I would allow play, and anyone I thought was better than that person, even by a fraction amount, I wouldn't let play. So I gave them some suggested
Do you know
players.
if there's, to flip the conversation around, is there a minimum for the pro event?
What do you mean a minimum?
What do you mean?
Like, could a Division 3 player
anyone
get
can
out their $1,000 and whack it down? Yeah,
and
it's just an open.
Yeah.
It's just an open. It's an open championship.
Open.
And you know what? Good on those guys that did that.
Yeah, I agree. Totally. Yeah,
they're having a go.
And you know what else they did too?
Want to be part of it.
They had the satellite events too. Yeah,
that's right. They did
they had them, and I think the plan is to do a lot more of them for the next event.
Yeah, the satellites are good.
And I think you can only play in a satellite unless you are an intermediate or lower. You couldn't play in a satellite as a known pro player.
Yeah.
So that way, the pro players you can't get your easy ticket through. You pay your $1,000.
And known pro just largely as a state player. Is that what they were saying?
Yeah, they had a bunch of
if you're
criteria,
not
or equivalent, yeah.
If you weren't eligible for the intermediate, that pretty much by default made you pro.
I see. Yeah.
My thing.
Yeah, I've been trying to sneak into an intermediate comp for a while.
No, you got to still do another 7 years of terrible results.
Mate, I can't win the local Bland comp down the road anymore. I'm just intermediate as they get these days.
Saying you there's actually a fair few of you who fall in that bit of a weird bracket.
Yeah, tier 1.5.
Like, it's almost like, it's like,
what's it called? The shit elite, piss week elites.
Piss week elites. Well, I think was it last week that you said you were a number 8 man or something, and like my memory is always when I was playing in the top 20, you just got into the team and I was always just out of the team.
Look, there was a
I'm
lot
like,
of
fuck.
times I snuck in on the last spot. There's only been a couple of times I've flown into the team. Most of the time, I'm just battling my way in. But you got to remember, back then, it's like Robbo, Jake, Scerri, Noonan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who else am I forget that's always in the team? Like, can't miss out. You know, there was always 5 or 6. It's just,
Clacky.
yeah, you're fighting for like one or
Clacky,
two
yeah.
spots all the time.
Yeah.
And it just, you just hope it's you know?
I think my recollection is I was ranked top 10 for a decade and made the team twice.
That's not
Because my ranking was number 9 or number 10. It was never top 8.
Oh, right. My first probably 4 or 5 statesides, I was the bench scapegoat, right? One bad shot, bench. Have a spell,
Yeah.
right? And you just cop it on the chin. You just got to deal with it and get on with it, right? Eventually, you earn your stripes and you get a few more frames and stuff. But that year, I'm just thinking, Jesus, you know? And I think from memory, that was at Empire, wasn't it?
Yeah, Empire.
I'm trying to remember who finished 8th. I think Danny Higgins came in 8th, yeah. But I was flying. This is the year actually me and you had come to Blues a bit, because I was flying, and I said I'll set a frame out on the bench because I'm flying. We'll try and get Scerri going because he was 0 and 8, right?
Yeah.
And then we've still got a few people struggling, and so Robbo's just thought, oh, well, sit me out because I'm flying, I'm doing all right, I'll be able to handle it because I'm used to it. And then I started struggling, so I said up to Robbo and I said, never ever again sit me out if I'm flying.
Yeah.
And it became like a law. You never ever sit anyone out that's flying ever.
Yeah. I was chatting to Tem. He wanted just a bit of advice with some stuff this year. And that was one of the things, and I used you as an example. I said, never sub out someone who's playing well to give someone who's not playing well a chance. Because for one, the person who's not playing well, they know what you're doing and it makes them feel even worse. It makes them feel worse. They know what you're doing, so they feel worse. And the player who's playing well can lose momentum. And that's what happened. You know, you just have to, the people who are struggling, you give them chances where you can, and they've got a lift. If they're on the bench, it's because of them. It's not because of the captains. Yeah. My advice always to people, to captains and stuff, is it's your job as the captain to get the win for the team. But just under that, it's also your job to give everyone in the team their fair chance to contribute. So you got to give everyone a team in the chance to contribute to that win, but not at the risk of losing that number one priority, which is getting the win. What happened that year with Dale Kent was like at the start, you know, he sat a little bit on the bench, a frame here or there, and then he's coming off the bench and he's playing well and he's doing well. So all of a sudden he stops getting benched. And I think one of our guys who had the double break was struggling a little bit. And there wasn't an obvious choice to promote someone to get the two breaks out of 3. And Dale Kent ended up getting the 2 breaks out of 3. And then he kept that for the rest of the event. So you can get yourself out of that bench, coming out, making a mistake, getting benched again. You can get out of that. You just got to play really well. I mean, you're at the Nationals, you know.
Yeah, it's cutthroat.
I've got my pros and cons list.
Okay, yeah, let's go through your pros and cons list.
So this is just a little pros and cons list I made from my point of view. I'm not speaking on the behalf of the entire playing community. And this is about the Nationals, sort of how I felt about it, someone who's been playing at Nationals for over 20 years. So my little pros list is I like how they've reduced the time frame. Now, I could be wrong about a bunch of this stuff as well, so anyone feel free to correct me. I think it used to go for 2 weeks, and now it's more like 11 days, which is good. There's more events, which is good. I love the fact that the doubles is back. I think that's a great one. I like the more events. The pull stat is great, how you can follow it and track it and all that sort of stuff. I think that's fantastic. gets everyone involved a lot more and able to see what's actually going on. And Cue Ball TV, the coverage of it is very good. You know, you get to watch a whole range of different matches. Everyone gets their time and everything like that. I think the commentary and everything, all that is amazing. So that's my pros. And unfortunately, the cons is a bigger list.
Can I add in a pro?
Yes.
I thought it was bloody fantastic that New Zealand were there.
Yes.
It was great to have them around in the teams event, in the singles event. Great to have them on commentary. Everything about New Zealand being there, I thought was fantastic. Loved it.
New Zealand. Yep. I've just added New Zealand to the pros column.
The only thing that needed to change, and this was an oversight by the ABF, and this is why the stats were brought down too, which we didn't even talk about.
Yes.
Stats were taken down due to collusion. So people were going up to the desk going, oh, how many frames do you have to play for the 75% and all that. So they're trying to actually work themselves out so they fall in the 75% for automatic selection, which is just ridiculous. But what's happened is you play 6 extra frames. But they've actually
12. 12.
Sorry.
Both New Zealand teams
You're
twice.
right. Sorry, right. Yeah. So you're actually paying so many more frames and they forgot to adjust the percentage based on the frames. So that's just a small oversight. Other than that, I can't say a single bad thing about bringing New Zealand into it. And they're going to bring back better teams. I bet you if you ask any player that was actually at the Nationals, did you enjoy playing against New Zealand? I'd be surprised if anyone said, no, that was a horrible experience.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, fantastic. Sorry, mate. Go on.
We just need to rename the title, that's all, to whatever it is now.
Yeah, that's fine. I think we'll learn this stuff and embrace it even more.
So the title would need to get fixed for when Rusty won it. So really he's just on 2 Australian titles and 1 Oceania. What have I got on the cons? I don't want to go over the cons, but I will. I feel like the plate goes for too long. It used to be a pre-nationals tournament. It used to be a very good warm-up that went for a day. You know, you get there, you got your pre-nationals tournament, a couple of people win some extra bucks, you get a good hit out on the tables, there's no pressure, a little bit of bragging rights for a day or 2, and then you got on with it. No one cared or thought about it after that.
So a bit too long, not that the races themselves are too long, that it's that it intermingles throughout the whole tournament.
Yeah.
Okay.
Make it about me. The last 2 nationals that I played, I won the plate back to back. And it felt like I got ripped off because it's got all the same players as the Open. You know, like I won the plate when I placed in the quarters, semis, and final of the last one I won. It was I had I can't remember it was quarters. Oh, Mikey Cacciola, then Ben Noonan, then Sage. You know, and I had Bowen and Clacky and someone else in the quarter semis and finals of the other. Like, you know, you're playing. It's the Australian title, and it's almost as long a races, but it's nothing. It's a weird event. You've won this really hard tournament to win, yet it means less than anything else. You know, like winning an Albury Wodonga means more than winning the plate at nationals. Change the name to something else. Maybe that might help. But yeah, it lingers on way too long into the tournament. When I played Mikey in the plate event in the quarters, 5 minutes later, I get called up to play Luke Foster. Very hard match in the last 16 of the Open. Quality player can beat me, no problem. But I was cooked. I had a really tough match against Mikey, and then boom, on straight after. And it felt like I gave everything I had to the wrong match. You know, I would have actually sooner rather just forfeit to Mikey, not even play, and give everything I had against Luke. You know, Luke actually almost won it that year, lost to Sage in the final, I think 10-8 in the Open. So bring that back to a pre-nationals tournament, not this weird plate thing. It just costs more money to go. Obviously inflation, all that sort of stuff, but it just costs more money to go to nationals than ever. And it has less prize money. Used to win $5,000 plus 10, 15 years ago when you were winning it. And now you win like, you know, $3.5, $4 grand. costs more money to go than ever, but the prize money's less,
Prize money, yeah.
and there's more players than ever. So that just doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah.
I've got the Australian selection system is just, I think it's heavily flawed in a number of areas that are really coming to light. I think it's unfair for low ranked or new players. It's just too difficult. Rewards the people going there consistently too much. They should be rewarded, but not this much. And it just leaves themselves opening to rorts and stuff like that as well, like you guys have said. I don't think any year that I've ever played in the past there was ever talks of rorting frames or anything like that.
Wish I could say the same thing.
Yeah, well, you probably started a little bit before me when it was a little more sketchy. Don't know. The less umpires. Now correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but I think we used to have umpires for every table, or at least most of them, and they all got paid like $1 a frame, and they'd call them up for like their awards and stuff, and you'd have some people who've done bloody 500 frames or something crazy.
Yeah, that's what I remember too.
Yeah. So now you've got like maybe a few roaming umpires. That's it. So players have to umpire their own matches and things. And
Do you know why I reckon they're doing that? Because that's what they do at
what is it?
Worlds.
Well, this will lead on to one of my other cons. The presentation goes too long. It's like half a day. I'm sure there's a few ways that they could speed that up. But yeah, I think the presentation just seems to the last one I was at, I think you and me, Jamie,
Yeah, we're at the same
I think we
table.
were to that one, mate. It must have gone for 6 hours. People were literally falling asleep. It was too long. Maybe I think Marty, you had a suggestion of cutting down speeches, so maybe just not every accolade got a speech.
Yeah, I think that there's certainly there's some premium events, right? The open events are obviously the premium events. I think the women's teams and the women's singles are big events, but there are a bunch of other events like, for example, the Indigenous All Stars Challenge, where I think it's great for someone to get up and say what the event is about, why are they promoting the event? But I don't think you need the winning captain and the winning runner up to make a speech thanking each other. Like it's not one of the premium, you know, events with the high quality pool. That's not its purpose. Its purpose is to try to build some community with the Indigenous people. Same with like the Six Red Shootout. Those sorts of things. Like they're great. They're a bit of fun, but I don't think you need every winner and every runner up to make a speech on all of those things. You can just say what the event's about, hand the people their medals, and then move on to the more premium events.
There's more.
I've just got. Yeah, I got the locations of the nationals. I mean, I like Albury. I don't mind Albury. I think the Commercial Club is a great venue, but it's boring. I think it was there. God, it felt like it was there for 5 years. It was there for too much, and then it went to Rockhampton. I've never been to Rockhampton. A lot of people were disappointed it was going to be there. So that's sort of
Albury might have been good for Victorians, but I'm not sure it was great for interstate people. Unless they had a flight direct into Albury. But I don't know if the Queensland players could. Yeah, so like the people coming from Queensland or from WA, for example, like to get there is actually quite difficult to Albury. And I think
it was just
same is true of Rockhampton.
It was just nice traveling around the country to random places that you've never been before, different venues and locations and and all that sort of stuff.
Mm.
I think the location of the Nationals is very important, and I think Gold Coast next year, you're going to have a lot of players
wanting to
going
go. Yeah,
there. It's obviously a great location. What have I got here? So my biggest one is the tables, the Rassens. I think a really nice 7-footer with these rules is a beautiful game. Maybe Jamie, I know, likes the black ball rules and all that sort of stuff, but for the most part, the rules are very good. A little bit flawed, but you get international rules or black ball rules or whatever on a really nice made 7-footer, and it's a beautiful game. And I think that, like me personally, I just feel like the world kind of shafted us a little bit when the world titles was supposed to be here. And I don't feel like Australia's ever gotten any help from the rest of the world. So why are we feel like we're starting to bend over backwards and accommodate the rest of the world when we don't play on those tables here at all. So why are we making all of our players play on these tables? I know it's for sponsorships and all that sort of stuff.
Can I just make something clear though, Robbo? The AEBF does not mandate a table to be used at the Nationals. The Nationals are put together by a host state, and the host state is the one that chooses the tables to play on. And I think in this case this year there might have been a sponsorship where they got some tables
Ultimate Pool set
included.
all the tables.
Right. But that decision is still made by Queensland, not by the AEBF. The sponsorship might have come through the AEBF, but it's up to Queensland to choose what to play the tournaments on. And obviously, commercially, would have made a heck of a lot of sense for them to do that. But unless the tables get sent every year, I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. It's up to the host state to decide what tables to play on.
Do you know why the WA didn't have Supremes last year? The only reason, logistically, they couldn't afford to get the tables there. It's the only reason they weren't on the Supremes. Otherwise, they would have been on there. So they went with the 7-footers.
Yeah.
So
I would rather, I'd be more inclined to go to Nationals if they were on nice 7-footers and in a friggin' shed in Northern Territory somewhere, honestly, than play on Rassens on the Gold Coast in pristine conditions. I'd rather play on the 7-footers in a shed.
Yeah, I believe next year it's a bit strange. It's not a host. Next year, the AEBF is the host rather than Queensland is the host.
Providing the current ABF is still in place, it could all change.
Providing the current ABF is still in place, but that is unusual. It's normally it normally kind of goes through a host state who will organise them, and the ABF will provide some of the funding for that event.
I think I'd just like to see Australians do our own thing. I think we've got a good thing going here. I don't think we need the rest of the world. It's always cost a fortune to send Australian representatives over to the world titles. That's always been the case, and I don't think that's going to change.
Mm-hmm.
If it hasn't changed by now, it's not going to. So why are we doing it their way? I think we just do it our way. So if there's a new committee comes in or the old one stays or whatever it is, just bring back the 7-footers. I think it's going to be a very popular decision. I know that money at the end of the day and all this sort of stuff, or sponsors and all that sort of thing. If you look at all these tournaments, Gippy Cup, and then all these tournaments all over the joint, they seem to get tables put in. Why can't we? I'm sure you can make it happen.
I think you'll find Australia is going to be the biggest hotbed for Q Sports in the next 5 to 8 years because of this Olympic crap.
Agree.
Obviously, Chinese 8-ball is just going to explode over here. And not necessarily with Australians, but with all the Chinese people coming in, because they're going to have heaps of events here. They have to. Obviously going to have them all around the world because that needs to be recognised as a global sport in order for it to be Olympic, what's the word, compatible, or, to be able to be in the Olympics. How the hell breakdancing got in, I don't know. But they will put on shitloads of events in Australia around the country because they will want Australia to be exploding with hayball. They will want that. So Chinese 8-ball will rule the roost here in 5 years' time. No doubt about it. All these places you're starting to see pop up in Melbourne, all these Chinese 8-ball halls with 9-ball tables and Chinese 8-ball tables, they are gonna double, triple the amount we've got now.
If you're going to try and shorten the time a bit more, get rid of stuff like the 6 red. Get rid of the 6 red. If you want to shorten it even more, get rid of the plate. Those ones aren't needed, in my opinion. I think the singles, the doubles, and the teams event is enough. But if you could squeeze in more, then it's not a big deal. I think that was about it, really.
All right. Well, thank you, gents. It's been a long haul. Appreciate your time, as always. And, see you later.
Thanks, mate. I'll cook some dinner now.
See you, boys. Yeah.